all-new Buffy, he's the man who seems to have it all.
Hey, I was just at the part where he invents the internet.
For some, his charm is irresistible.
I'm not sure that we can trust our memories.
But for Buffy, it's quickly running out.
People can't always see what's right in front of them.
An all-new Buffy.
Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Slade, the Buffyverse Revisited. I'm one of your hosts. I'm the 32nd President of the United States, Franklin Delano Roosevelt.
And I'm your other host, the 40, I don't know, what was Trump? 40 what?
40, who cares?
I'm Donald J. Trump.
Donald Jessica Trump. Thanks for joining us today.
Donald Jessica Trump. You're welcome. It's going to be a huge show.
It's going to be huge.
It's going to be huge. It's going to be the best
Just
podcast.
everybody that knows that this show is going to be huge.
It's going to be the best podcast in the history of podcasts.
Oh, James. This week we will be jumping into season 4, episode 17 of Buffy, Superstar. So, yeah, there's that. How have you been, James? What's new? What's going on? And how are your nipples?
I've been okay. Nothing new. Same old. My nipples are. Fuck! No.
Oh, they're on.
Yeah, my nipples are 5x5.
5 inch by 5 inch nipples, so they're like tea saucers.
They are like tea saucers. They're like espresso cup saucers.
So I'll start calling you pepperoni nips.
They are approximately the size of sliced deli pepperoni. Sandwich pepperoni.
Right.
And 5 inches thick as well.
Wow, that's got to be rough to carry around.
It is.
I bet you go through a lot of shirts.
I'm thinking of having a nipple reduction.
Just a nipple reduction, huh?
Just a nipple reduction.
Okay. All right. Well, I did read some sad news today, James. I read the world's first recipient of a pig kidney has passed away 7 weeks after the transplant surgery. So that's sad. Very sad. Thoughts and prayers,
Thoughts and prayers,
as Republicans often say.
Often say, yes. And how is that? How's that worked out? How's the mass shooting situation in this country?
It's
going?
Escalated.
Has it? What are you talking? You mean it hasn't been solved by thoughts and prayers?
Now we have governors that take 14-week-old puppies outside and fucking murder them. So
That's just life on the farm, Jeremy.
Right, just life on the farm. Life on the funny fucking farm. Yeah. Anyway.
Thoughts and prayers. I also read some sad news today. I don't know exactly when it happened because I didn't look it up. But you will probably recognize this name, being a fan of television and film, as I am, particularly schlock television and film. Famed director Roger Corman has passed away.
Roger Corman, I know that name. You're gonna have to diddle my brain.
He's directed so many B movies. Let's see.
I know that name.
Oh yeah, I mean I know you've seen. Let me see. Let me pull up some of the movies.
I've probably seen his entire filmography.
Oh, he actually died today, so I wasn't. He directed the 1960 version Little Shop of Horrors.
Oh.
The 1964 version The Mask of the Red Death.
Red Death, I've seen that. Yep.
House of Usher. Death Race, The Pit and the Pendulum.
I saw the House of Usher, the Fall of the House of Usher, Pit and the Pendulum, and another one as plays also.
Okay.
Which is completely irrelevant to the conversation, but
I was gonna say, well, congratulations. Who the fuck cares?
No one.
No one. He also directed the never released, but I'm almost positive you can see it online, 1994 Fantastic Four movie.
Okay, so he was the one that did the Fantastic Four. Okay, it's
Yeah.
easy. There's all kinds of images out there of it. I've never tried to find the actual movie, but
Yeah, he
and that's saying something, because all of the Fantastic Four movies that have been released thus far were fucking horrible, but they still released them. So this one must have been really fucking bad.
Well, it wasn't even the fact that it was really bad. They filmed it with the intention of never releasing it. Fox was about to lose the rights.
To keep the rights, that's right. Yeah.
So
yeah.
they filmed it to keep the rights.
Yeah.
So it wasn't even a matter of like it was just so bad they shelved it. They literally threw it together to film the rights. Didn't bother to tell the cast or crew or anything that that's what was happening.
They probably didn't care. They were probably all getting paid scale anyway. None of them probably
I'm sure.
And,
yeah, so he most recently he directed Frankenstein Unbound, Battle Beyond the Stars, Death Sport, A Time for Killing, the St. Valentine's Day Massacre, like I said, Mask of the Red Death, X, the Man with the X-Ray Eyes, The Terror, The Raven, Tower of London, Tales of Terror, just a bunch of like
grindhouse,
B horror movies.
B horror movies.
Right. He was he directed a lot of those. Most of his credits are producing credits though, and we're talking like, what is Amazon Women in the Jungle of Death. Like, that it was like, which was Sandra Bullock's like very first credited movie role.
It's just like basically just like softcore Skinamax porn.
Well, no, not even like that, but just such low budget, B movie crap. It's, lots of stuff with Adrienne Barbeau.
Well, Roger Corman, thoughts and prayers.
R.I.P. Roger Corman.
R.I.P. Rest in pieces. James.
Yes, sir.
I have it on good authority that you attended a well-known convention recently by the name of a C2E2.
I don't know who told you that. Whoever told you that's a goddamn liar.
It was your girlfriend.
I don't think she told you that.
Oh, you have a girlfriend.
I don't think she told you that.
Oh, wow.
But I did attend C2E2. It was a good time as usual. The panels this year were a little lackluster, but they did have some good ones. They for the Star Wars fans, they had a 10-year reunion panel for Star Wars Rebels, with all the voice cast, including Mr. Sarah Michelle Gellar. Freddie Prinze Jr. Was there.
Mr. Clark was there.
Yes. So that was fun to sit and watch. Christopher Lloyd was there. He did a big hall panel.
Dude,
was.
He's got to be like 100 by now.
It was as much fun as it was to sit there and hear him talk and tell stories. It was also sad because he's showing his age.
Yeah.
Of course.
Last time I saw on something on TV, I was like, whoa, he's like totally mortal. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Your mortality is really buddy.
Right. You need to get your shit together, pal. So yeah, it was the same thing last year. Billy D. Williams was there.
Yeah.
And it was fun to listen to him talk, like, cause dude's like, Billy D's got to be pushing 80 at this point.
He's probably already in his 80s.
And like even at 80, motherfucker's still the coolest cat in the room.
Yeah.
Like, but.
And you mean he's literally a cat?
He's literally a cat. Like he was on stage licking himself.
He's a calico cat. Yeah.
Yeah. No, he's Billy D. He's cool. And
Billy D. Billy D's giving the D, if you know what I'm saying. What am I saying?
But at the same time, it's sad because he's showing his age. It's to see them up there talking and telling a story and answering a question, and then all of a sudden they kind of drift off, I guess, in their own thoughts or whatever.
Fall asleep.
No, they just kind of drift off in their own thoughts or whatever, and they lose focus of what they were talking about, and not in a fun like way like we do.
Or like where they're like and then their handler has to come out and put smelling salts under their nose and they're like, what?
Right.
What?
Like Christopher Lloyd during his panel at least 3 times was like, what were we talking about again?
Yeah.
So
and a lot of that I think's also got to do with the fact that they get on these convention circuits, man, and they're town to town, city to city to city, and talking about the same shit, and they probably just go on autopilot, and then sometimes they're like, wait, I'm sorry, what day is it?
Right. Who else a couple years William Daniels was at one of these things just like 3 years ago, and he's another one. Like, man, I love to listen to him tell his stories and stuff, but Kit's like 90 years old now.
Yeah.
So it's sometimes hard to watch them. But a quick fuck you to Josh Brolin, who was supposed to be the big guest and panel and everything, and he canceled last minute, didn't show up. So fuck you to Josh Brolin, if you're listening.
Yeah. Watch. Look right here. Fuck you.
Right. Look at me. Fuck you, Thanos.
AKA or also known as Cable.
I was also gonna say, yeah, fuck you, Cable.
Yeah.
But yeah, he canceled last minute. So him and Tom Welling are on my fucking shit list.
Oh yeah, because that's right. Didn't Tom Welling shit can last year?
He shit canned last year.
Like, yeah. I can kind of see Josh Brolin, because he's an A-lister, I mean, he's up there. But Tom Welling, really?
Right. Like, what?
Nothing better to do, Tom Welling, than be on the fucking convention circuit. Let's be real here.
Right. Like, you can go to every other convention in the country, but you can't come to fucking Chicago. C2E2. You can show up at Dubuque Comic and and collectibles at the local civic center, but you can't show up at C2E2, like right. One of the largest comic.
I'm sure his payday would have been much larger.
Right. You can't show up at one of the largest comic and entertainment conventions in the country. Fuck you, dude. Fuck you.
Yeah,
too busy doing a Lucifer panel somewhere. Whatever.
Too busy doing a nothing panel because your career is in nowhere.
Right.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. Did you have late filming with your little known TV show that co-starred Brendan Fraser?
Yeah. Did you have late filming at your house with your 8mm fucking crank camera because the closest you're ever going to get to Hollywood? I don't know. But Josh Brolin, I can kind of understand. I mean, he's in like A-list movies and shit, and maybe he was just like, I'm fucking Josh Brolin still. I'm not that desperate yet. I'm not that desperate yet.
So I don't got to do this shit.
Yeah,
I am neither starting out in my career nor ending my career. Fuck this. I'm not going.
Let's be honest. The convention circuit is for I don't want to shit on anybody, but it's for has-beens or people like you said just starting out, and they're trying to keep their brand out there and stuff. But
Then tell me why Chris Evans was there last year.
Well, some stars are just cool though. Like seriously, they just like to go to these things and be like, "Hey, what's up?"
Yeah.
But I don't know. Some of it, like I don't know. I don't see Josh Brolin going to fucking San Diego Comic-Con, let alone Podunk Comic-Con in Chicago. I mean, come on.
Hey, it is a big thing, okay? It is one of the largest.
It's the second biggest, isn't it?
Second or third.
I think San Diego Comic-Con's the only one that's, or maybe New York Comic-Con is up there nowadays.
Yeah, I believe it's obviously San Diego and then New York, and I would say probably Chicago.
Probably. Chicago's got to be in the top 3.
Yeah.
So I'm sure it would have been a good payday, but I mean, Josh Brolin doesn't really need the money at this point.
He's not hurt. He's not hurt.
Welling, on the other hand, needs every fucking nickel he can fucking get. Right. So
you think Rosenbaum's paying him for doing Talkville? No.
Right. Rosenbaum's not even getting paid for Talkville, probably.
No.
He probably gets paid more for his solo podcast than he does for Talkville. Not as if anyone cares. Why don't we move on? Okay.
But no, it was good. Always a good time. But
did you get any trouble this year, like for public masturbation, like you did last year?
No, not this.
Not this year.
I bought a couple things. I bought some bat symbol cufflinks and a tie clip for when I have to dress fancy.
Of course you did.
I decided to expand out of just nerd shirts like I've frequently seen wearing, and bought several pair. I like that one. I don't have any good horror shirts. I need to get some horror shirts.
They're in the Scooby van. Check it out. The mystery.
Are they? The Mystery Machine? Nice. I need to get some horror shirts. Yeah.
Yeah. Love this one.
And I bought several pairs of nerd socks. So we're expanding into nerd socks.
Honestly, number one, once the weather reaches like above 60 degrees, I refuse to wear socks or shoes. I wear like not sandals, but what do you call those? They're like flip-flops, but that doesn't go between your toe. It like the thing goes over the top of your foot, like Adidas thing. Okay. I wear those pretty much from 60 degrees on. And then in the winter, like my sock thing is, I hate any sock that goes above ankle or above. I wear like the no-show socks. I can't stand socks like on my legs.
Like a little girl. Okay.
Yes, like a little bitch.
So this probably would bug the hell out of you. Unfortunately, I'm not wearing my nerd socks right now, but I am wearing. Let's get there. Oh my god, I am wearing.
Jesus Christ, are those dress socks?
Ankle length crew socks, or calf length crew socks.
I was going to say that's a little higher than your ankle.
Yeah, calf length crew socks.
Unless you in fact have cankles.
I am an overweight man, so.
As am I.
Unfortunately, it doesn't evenly distribute itself all over my body. It is strictly centered in my belly.
I thought you were going to say it was strictly centered on your ass.
No.
You have like a 48-pound ass.
No, it is strictly all in my per cheek. No, it is strictly all in my midsection. But we're working.
I just got to thinking about something. You had mentioned that you picked up the Batman cufflinks and the tie clip. Mm-hmm. I got to thinking, and this is probably true for both of us. It's a good thing that neither of us were like well-established adults when we were hardcore into Highlander, and it was on the air, and the catalogs that came out. Dude, we would probably, between the two of us, own so much stupid ass Highlander shit that would never. I got quite a bit, but I would have a lot more. Like if I had been, say, in my 20s or 30s during the heyday,
The only things I ever bought from the catalog were the VHS collection. And then when the DVDs came out, I upgraded to the DVD collection. Now I don't have any of it. And the only other thing I bought was the hair ties.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yep. I had the hair
which
tie.
I still
I've
have.
owned quite a bit of a lot of it's come second hand that I've picked up over the years at swap meets and flea markets and stuff. I'm like, oh shit, that was in the fucking catalog. I'm gonna buy that. And like I'm looking at it now, the Duncan MacLeod mug. It's like his face.
I
And
used to, you know,
the
I
handle
used to
is like
have
the hilt of his sword.
I used to have that because when you ordered like the seasons, you
Get
would get like
gifts. Mm-hmm.
special gifts, and that was yeah, I had that. I think I've got, you know what? I might have. I bet it's upstairs actually. I have the Duncan MacLeod Dragonhead Katana pen.
Yeah, yeah. I also got as a free gift once of something I bought. I don't remember what it might have been. One of the DVD sets. I'm not sure, but I got the the official Highlander screensaver on CD-ROM.
Yeah, I had that too.
Yeah,
And with the
never,
Watcher Chronicles.
like as soon as like I think it was Windows XP or something came out, like it would never work again.
Yeah.
I was like, well, this fucking piece of shit. We worked for like a year and now I can't even use it anymore.
Yeah, I got that. I also got the Watcher Chronicles CD.
I still have both of them because there was the original version and then the updated version, and the updated version it's never even been opened because again,
Yep.
It won't run in anything these days. So
Right. I had that because it came as a gift with purchasing. But yeah, the only things I actually still have left are I don't think I don't think I have the Duncan mug anywhere. I definitely don't have the screensaver or the Watcher Chronicles anymore. I know I've got that pen. It's upstairs somewhere. Probably in the box of.
I've got like everything that I've ever had like in my whole life. So I don't get rid of anything.
I'm sure it's upstairs. I've still got a box upstairs marked office/desk, stuff that I haven't unpacked.
You can see right over my shoulder here where I'm pointing this pen right there is the official Duncan MacLeod Highlander, the quickening coat, the trench coat.
Trench coat. Nice.
It actually still fits too, even though I'm quite a bit more rotund these days.
Yeah, I've got the hair ties. The only hair tie I don't have anymore, and I lost it in a hotel room in Las Vegas 10 some odd years ago, and I'm still salty about it, is the Celtic triangle hair tie.
The one he wore like the most.
Yes, and the one I wore the most.
Yeah.
So if I can ever find that one again, I will buy it, even though I have no plans of growing my hair out long again.
Yeah.
I still have those because I wear them. Sometimes I'll throw them on my wrist just for funsies.
Right, just to see if anybody recognizes it and says, "Oh, that's from is that Duncan MacLeod's?"
Right, so
like, yeah, this was his official cock ring. This one he wore when fucking Tessa. This one he wore fucking Anne. And this one he wore fucking Amanda. Okay. So anyway.
But anyway, yes, C2E2 was a good time. What else did I get? Everything else I bought was literally food related. There was a company there called Black Flag, and they were selling barbecue sauces and barbecue rub, and they were giving out samples, and they had this extra garlic barbecue sauce that was so good. I bought a bottle of it. There was a hot sauce company there, local to the Chicago area. I can't think of the name of it right now, but they were sampling hot sauces. I know they had. Oh, this will be good. What is it?
Al Capone's Jism.
Oh, okay.
And the reason it's a hot sauce is because he had syphilis, so that's also in the barbecue sauce. And that's what makes it spicy.
Right. So this hot sauce company was sampling hot sauces, and they had one there called Vampire Slayer, and it's extremely hot and full of garlic. So I bought that, and I used it for the first time like 2 weeks ago now, maybe a week and a half. And somebody wasn't very careful with the amount of sauce he was putting on his pizza, and he made himself very, very, very sick.
Now, have you ever?
Now ask me if that has stopped me from using it since then.
Has that stopped you from using it since then?
It has not.
Oh, okay. So you're saying you're not the type of person who learns from your mistakes?
Not. No, I'm not.
You continue to make the same mistakes repeatedly.
Yeah, I mean, within reason.
So
Like, I'll never drive.
You're the definition of insanity.
Like, I'll never drive drunk again. I learned that mistake the hard way.
Yeah. Well, at least you didn't learn it like head first through the windshield.
Right. But as far as the hot sauce goes, as long as I don't overdo it, it's fine. So.
See, I used to be into hot sauces and hot shit, but I have stomach and esophageal issues now, and I cannot partake in anything hot or spicy. It's sad. Thoughts and prayers to me, but
thoughts and prayers to you.
But you know.
And what else? Oh, I bought some. I bought like 3 pounds of fudge from a fudge company that was there.
I don't like fudge.
No.
You
might like this fudge. They packed my fudge so nicely.
Did they? Did they pack it well?
Yeah, it was packed very nicely. I really liked the way they packed the fudge.
I'm not a huge honestly, I love chocolate milk, as you can see. I'm drinking it. Other than that, I'm not a big chocolate fan, number one. And number two, even if it's like, say, peanut butter fudge, I'm not into that like thick, glommy shit. It's just not my thing. Just not my thing.
Okay. I mean, I understand.
Yeah.
And that's it. As far as C2E2 goes, a lot of walking, so much walking.
Have you tried putting a few drops of the hot sauce into your pee-pee hole?
No.
I've seen Steve-O do that on Jackass.
Yeah, how'd that go for him?
It seemed like a good time.
Did it? I've never had an STD, but I have to imagine that putting
haven't
sauce.
Oh, haven't you?
I haven't. But I have to imagine that putting a sauce that is pepper and garlic and like capsaicin based directly into your urethra is probably worse than an STD. Maybe. I really don't know. Any listeners out there that have STDs, please let us know.
Anybody out there that's got the clap or fucking syphilis or chlamydia or whatever.
Anybody out there with the gonorrhea, herpes, syphilitis, email us, hit us up on the Facebook, whatever. Let us know. Is that painful? How would you, on a scale of 1 to...
Would you compare it to putting really hot sauce into your pee-pee hole?
Right, exactly. Speaking of emails, I shouted him out on the Facebook page, and I shouted him out on the YouTube. Shout it out. These are the things I can do without. Come on.
Oh. Okay.
I shouted him out on the YouTube video. We'll shout him out here. Shout out to RKB. I believe that's it, correct?
Arkaba?
Fuck. Yeah, he's here. Let's hop in.
Since everyone
Yeah.
else has seemingly abandoned us and won't talk to us anymore.
So shout out to RKB Domain for reaching out to us and letting us know that you, Jeremy, are not the only idiot out there that didn't know Los Angeles has a subway system.
See, dude,
He says, as a native Californian, I also did not know that LA has a subway system, and I'm kind of shocked that they do. I don't live in LA. I'm in Northern California, but go to LA all the time. Anyway, thanks again for putting on this great show. I know it takes a lot of time to do Buffy and Angel. It's appreciated. You guys rock. Thank you, RKB. We appreciate the platitudes. We also appreciate you letting us know that Jeremy is not the only idiot out there.
But I thought we had. Maybe I'm misremembering. I thought you didn't know either.
No, I did know.
Sure you did. Sure you fucking did.
Go back and listen to the episode. I clearly state that I know.
Now. You're always lying.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
No, but see, yeah, it blew my mind. I thought, wait a minute, they're making this shit up for the show, and then like I said, I Googled it and I was like, wow, I'm really fucking stupid. I had no idea.
You know what? I tried to use the RKB thing to segue us back into Buffy, and I should have waited a few minutes because I realized I had a question that I want to ask you real quick, and maybe we can get some viewer input as well if anybody feels like reaching out to us ever again. I've got, as we all know, I've Harry Pottered myself a podcast area underneath my stairs here in a spot that is otherwise useless in my home. But I do have the back of the stairs here. And I was wondering, do you think I should put some shelves up here and maybe put some items behind myself?
Yeah, like various like butt plugs and dildo.
No, not stuff. But I've got my 2 remaining Buffy and Angel collector figures from the collection I had. I got rid of everything except a Buffy and an Angel. I could put those up there. All kinds of things. I've got a couple Funko Pops that aren't Buffy related, but I've got He-Man and Battle Cat and Skeletor and Panther I could put back there. I mean,
you could even you could change it up week to week. It could be like a rotating, like you could put like just to like as Easter eggs to see who. Oh, look what he's got back there this week.
I could. I'm probably too lazy for that kind of thing though. But...
A purple medallion butt plug this week.
Look at that. He's got how did he even fit the Great American Challenge on that shelf?
Is that a dragon dick dildo?
So what is he doing with those things?
Why does he have those? I don't understand. Right. And how did I know exactly what that was?
Right. But no, yeah, let me know, people. I've got Jeremy's vote to put up a shelf,
and my vote clearly is not enough to sway him. So he's going to need to hear from none of you who ever contact us.
I need at least RKB Domain to shoot us an email and be like, yeah, dude, put up a fucking shelf with some shit on it. Who the fuck cares, man?
We have a lot of listeners. I mean, I see the statistics and no one wants to talk to us anymore. We had a little there for a while, and then everybody was like, okay, well, let me check it's fuck you time. Okay, bye. And they left and have never returned.
I don't know what the statistics are for the audio portion, but obviously I see, our YouTube hits. And I mean, it doesn't seem to matter if I upload on when I'm supposed to on Monday or like later on Tuesday.
Yeah, because you've never uploaded on Monday for 6 months.
We get views like right away. Like there's people out there that are waiting for it.
We get a lot more on the audio side.
Oh, I'm sure.
than we do
Oh,
on
no doubt. But what I'm saying is, like, there's definitely people out there that are like waiting for it. They wait for the video version to drop and
I think there's also probably people who do both. Who
oh
like
yeah, oh,
they
I'm
like
sure.
they probably listen to the audio on Mondays because they know it's always going to be on time. And then they wait for you to fuck around and get your dick out of your ass and upload the video side. And but at least I don't get hammered with messages anymore from people, because I used to be like, I don't know when he's gonna do
Right.
it.
Because I cleared that up on here. I said, I said I'll do it when I fucking feel like doing it.
And I'm always like, and I don't care about the video at all. So, like, if it didn't exist, I couldn't give more of a wet fart. So,
I actually have some ideas that I'm going to go over with Jeremy concerning the podcast and um, particularly heading into season 5 of Buffy and season 2 of Angel that might enable me to put those out when they're supposed to be out, and actually might result in some more. What's the best way? I won't say more fun episodes, because I think we have a pretty good time as it is. But what I'm going to suggest might add another element of fun to it, at least for a handful of episodes. At least for a handful of episodes.
Will it involve making out and cuddling?
No, it won't. No, it won't.
I already don't care.
It will not. It will not involve doing those things.
I already don't care.
Oh, now I'm gonna have to rethink what I was gonna suggest, because now I'm worried.
Already voting no, whatever it is.
Oh, wow.
Wait a minute. You know what? We're a two-man gig here. So if we come to an impasse, if I vote yes for something and you vote no, we're fucked.
We just don't do it.
Loop of eternity.
We just don't do it.
We're gonna have to pick someone out of the audience to be our third, or to be our tiebreaker for any future deals that we come to that we can't decide on.
Right, and it can't. I'm sorry, it can't be Darlene.
Well, no, because I have an inside track
Right.
there, so that wouldn't be fair.
Right.
And it can't be RKB because I think he's you, and you've just made him up.
I was just going to say it's going to have to be RKB.
Probably will, because he's literally the only one who will talk to us anymore.
But anyway.
Do you wonder if we said or did some shit on the show that all the people that used to talk to us were all like, you know what? Fuck these guys and everything they stand for.
Do you want my honest answer?
No, I want you to lie to me.
No, I don't think so.
Okay, now I want the honest answer.
I think some of it has to do with when we came down, not hard, but I think a lot of it had to do with when we switched up the commenting. Like when we went from like reading people's comments every week to doing it once a month.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I honestly do. I don't think people want to wait a month to have their shit talked about.
Wow. Well, fuck them then.
I mean honestly that's my take on it. I don't know what.
I felt like it started a little bit before that though, but I don't know. My brain doesn't really work.
I think people want the more instant gratification of, okay, the episode dropped on Monday, I'm going to listen, I'm going to comment, and by the time the next episode drops, they will have something to say about what I had to say, as opposed to.
But my thing is, we haven't even done a monthly deal because no one says anything anymore. So we have nothing to do a listener extravaganza episode for now. So it's
right. Well, and that's what I'm saying. I don't think people wanted to wait a month to talk about
they
the
would rather
episode.
sit through like a 3.5 hour podcast every week so we could. Ugh. Well,
Yeah.
my fucking ass doesn't want to sit through a 3.5 podcast every fucking week times 2. You know.
But yeah, that's honestly what I think happened. I think there might have been a little misconstruement in how we approached it. Unfortunately, I think even though we tried our best to address it, I think it might have come off a little bit like we didn't want to deal with comments and we were tired of comments taking up so much of the episodes, which isn't the case, wasn't the case, will never be the case. We just needed to find a better way to streamline it on a per episode basis. That's all it was. But unfortunately, I think that's kind of rolled over into, well, if what I have to say isn't going to be addressed, for 3 or 4 weeks, then I'm just not going to bother.
Well,
Kind of what I think happened.
Maybe we should set up like, I mean, we have the website. Maybe we should Maybe we should set up like a little forum, like a little chit chat forum thing where people can post shit and chit chat and shit, and we can just pluck stuff out of that, randomly for episodes and be like, hey, on the forums, Billy Bob Joe Fuck said that we should eat shit and die,
I mean, yeah, that's something we can posit, you guys let us know, like, what's going to get you guys commenting again and interacting again, and
maybe setting up a little interactive,
right. Is it, would it be more beneficial for you to have a place to go, like if there was a place at buffyrevisited.com where you could go and chat with one another, or like I guess seemingly like a Reddit forum or something, something similar.
Yeah, something like that. I mean, bottom line, are we going to need to start paying people to comment? Are we going to need to hire Russian bots to hit us up with comments and questions?
Right. But yeah, I mean, you guys let us know, like, and obviously, like that's just my perspective on what happened. It seems to me like comments really started falling off a lot after we kind of switched up a little bit in how we were dealing with them.
Yeah, and that was that was only done in the interest of not having 3.5 hour long podcasts, because times 2 that was just getting to be too hard and too much to do.
Right.
But I thought it would make the podcasts better and more concise, that way. I don't know. Maybe I'm stupid.
And like I said, like I agreed. I still don't disagree with that line of thinking, but it does seem to me that the comments started to fall off around that time, where we had to kind of take a little bit of break and reconfigure things and how we were approaching things. And I don't know. Yeah, I think some people might have gotten the wrong idea about what we were saying in regards to the comments. Like, I want to make it clear, like, we never have felt, never will feel like comments are a burden or are too much to handle, or we don't want to go through them or anything. And that's why we decided to dedicate a whole special episode to just what you guys had to say and talking about it, and maybe even trying to have one of you guys on occasionally to talk about things and whatnot. But
the ones we did, I thought were pretty fun.
But I do think there was this idea put out there amongst everyone that the comments were just a hassle and we didn't want to deal with them. And I also do think there are people amongst the people that were commenting that did want more. I don't want to say instant gratification, but they really didn't want to have to wait 3 or 4 weeks to have their comments talked about and discussed and whatnot. But I mean, but you guys let us know. Reach out to us, please, in whatever capacity you have available to you that we use: email, Facebook, YouTube, and let us know what's going to help get you guys commenting again, even if it is a dedicated forum that Jeremy can set up on the website, because Jeremy's the tech, the web guy. He does all that stuff. He's great at it. He's, not to get too much further into the weeds, but there's a whole fucking chat-based role-playing website out there that he created that is fucking magnificent. And he's capable of doing things pretty much on the fly. Well, he's that good. I mean, so
I really am.
But
I really am.
No, I mean, he really is. He really is. When he was asking me to look at this chat-based role-playing website of his, I had some suggestions for things, and he was able to implement them pretty quickly. He's very well versed in this stuff. So if a dedicated forum for you guys to go on and talk to is going to be what it takes, on the website, then that's what we'll do. I mean, you guys reach out to us and let us know. Because I don't feel like it's anything we said. I don't feel like our show has drastically changed as far as how we are.
I feel like from day one we've been pretty fucking vulgar and
Right.
out there. So I kept thinking, what could we have possibly said to offend anyone that we hadn't already said before? So I just kept thinking, man, it's like everybody hates us now, James.
Right. Right. I do, sometimes I kind of wonder if people might want us to dig a little deeper into the episodes, I
try to dig in. I mean, I try to, one of the things that we feel need to be dug into some, but I mean,
right.
I'm not trying to get existential about, Buffy fucking cutting a fart or something, I mean, you know what I mean?
Right.
It's like,
right.
Yeah, I don't know.
But anyway, speaking of 3-hour-long
we're only 47 minutes into this podcast.
I was gonna say, anyway, speaking of 3-hour podcasts, as we approach the 50-minute mark in this one, and we've yet to talk about the episode.
Yeah, at least I did say what episode we're going to be covering this week.
That's true. So what I will do when I post it on YouTube is, in the description, I will put in there, skip to the 50-minute mark to get to the actual start of the episode, if you don't want to hear.
Because everything prior to that is fucking useless.
Right. I'll make sure I mention it on the Facebook post. I'll put it in the YouTube description. Jeremy, maybe you can put something up on the...
It's literally for 50 minutes of us just verbally jerking each other off, so...
This is what happens. We should really talk more in between recording, because this is what happens. We don't talk at all, and then we just talk here.
We have to catch up on the pot. But see, I feel like it makes our show better that we're like that. We don't discuss, we don't talk, but we definitely don't discuss ahead of time, the episodes and. Everything happens. Whoa, everything happens live on the show. Nothing gets edited out because I'm too lazy to edit it out.
Everything's organic. Everything's organic,
and I feel
nothing
like
scripted.
If we don't talk, we have a lot more to chew on the episode. Now, see, when we come back magically and we do Angel, we won't have as much to talk about because we've set and shoot on the fat now for almost an hour. So
right. We'll get right into the Angel episode.
Angel will be
People will love it.
Angel will be like 35 minutes long, and then we'll be like, okay, well.
All right, well, we're done. We're done. All right. So anyway, all that being said, how about if we, how were we getting into this episode this week, Jeremy? Did you say?
Well, we're canoodling into it.
Let's canoodle into Buffy the Vampire Slayer, season 4, episode 17, Superstar, our 73rd episode of the series overall. Our episode credited director this week is David Grossman, and our episode credited writer is Jane Espenson. Our original air date was April 4th, 2000, on the now defunct WB network. Our Nielsen rating for this episode was 2.8, ranking it 92 out of the 138 primetime shows airing for the week, and 5 out of the 16 primetime shows airing on the WB for the week. Our cast, as always, includes Sarah Michelle Gellar as Buffy, Nicholas Brendan as Xander, Allison Hannigan as Willow, Mark Blucas as Riley, James Marsters as Spike, and Anthony Stewart Head as Giles. Our guest stars this week include Danny Strong as Jonathan, Amber Benson as Tara, Bailey Chase as Graham, Robert Patrick Benedict as Jape, John St. Ryan as Colonel Haviland, George Hertzberg as Adam, Emma Caulfield as Anya, Erica Luttrell as Karen, Channy Costello as Inga, and Julia Costello as Ilsa. Whew, that was a lot.
Do you need a little oxygen mask on the sidelines? He just listen, folks. He's a 300-pound lineman, and he just ran back a pick six. Okay, he needs some oxygen.
Right. My episode synopsis this week reads: Buffy must put aside the turmoil she feels about Riley and Faith's night of passion to investigate why a former nerd is being feted as a superhero.
Well, that is so... I mean, it is accurate, and yet it's wildly inaccurate. You know?
Yes.
Let's really boil it down. Mine reads, Buffy senses that something is amiss when Jonathan becomes a hero to everyone in Sunnydale. I feel like that is much more accurate. Yours is... I feel like yours is trying to create something by using facts of the episode, but putting it together in a way that's not quite factual.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah. So we open with Buffy and the rest of the Scoobies hunting some vampires in a graveyard, and they stumble across a nest and
of baby birds.
Yeah. Yes.
And they slay them all mercilessly.
They kill. That's just it's an avian slaughter.
It's a bloodbath of baby birds.
Yes,
it
is. Yeah. No, they discover a vampire nest, and things take an odd turn because they all decide that there's just too many vampires there for them to fight.
And what was it? It was 4, right?
Yeah, it was like 4 or 5, something like that.
And I was like, what's happening?
And they decide they need to go to someone else for help, and they know just who it is. And we cut to them in this mansion, and Buffy is asking this person off screen for help, and we cut to Jonathan, who is the one that they are asking for help. And that is our opening, our cold open.
Yes, Jonathan the nerd spins around in his chair, and you're like, oh, okay. I guess that's a thing now. At first, this episode makes you feel like you've had a mild stroke and you've kind of forgotten what the show is about.
Well, also because Jonathan's in the opening credits.
Yeah. Yes. And they go to this enormous mansion, and I'm just like, it's very. This will be deja vu-y come next season, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
When you find yourself going, what the fuck is what? Anyway, so yeah, we come back and we're now at Giles' place, and the Scoobs are all there with Jonathan, who is like the in charge dude now, not Buffy, it's Jonathan, and of course he's very smooth and everything, and he knows just what to do, and they put a plan together, and he's, handing out weapons and assignments, and he's practicing some hand-to-hand karate with Buffy, and yet being better somehow. And then there's one point where Willow's trying to hack into who the fuck knows, NORAD or something, and she can't get in, so fucking Jonathan's like over her shoulder, and he's like, wait, but what if? And he literally hits like 3 keys, and then you hear the computer go beep. And he's like, oh, yeah, I'm in. And it's just like, I hate you, TV. So, and she's like, oh, if only I had thought about that. But he's very nice. Like, he's not like a dick. Like, he's very
he's like,
nice.
Right, because Willow's like, oh, I don't know why I didn't think of that. And he's like, well, you would have eventually.
You would have eventually, slow one. He's really nice, though, and he's real supportive and uplifting of everyone. So it's not like he's like this, raving megalomaniac dickhead, Donald Trump.
He's still Jonathan. He's just like super great at everything.
Yeah, like everything. Like at one point they're getting ready. They've got their plan. Everybody's got their what it is. The plan. They're like, okay, Buffy, you'll go in first. Get their attention. They get to see what a Slayer looks like, and and then I'll come in last, and we'll mop them up. And so they get ready to leave, and Jonathan's like, wait a minute, and he looks over at the chessboard, Giles' chessboard, and he's like, the so-and-so maneuver, and he goes over and moves his piece, and he's like, that'll be mate in 4. Nice try, Rupert. And he calls Giles Rupert all the time, which I find kind of funny. And everyone loves him. And I'm just like, what the fuck is happening? So anyway, they now head back to the crypt where they found this nest of defenseless baby birds. And they go on in, and Buffy kills the first 2. And then Jonathan fucking comes in all Batman style from like a skylight above. There's a skylight in this crypt, by the way, that he comes busting through from up above and lands. It looks like it's about a 40 to 50 foot drop, but he just lands and tucks and rolls, no problem. And he's got a crossbow, and he shoots and kills one, and then he shoots and kills another one, and then the last one gets past Buffy, but like he does this fucking like 007 shoulder roll thing and comes up with his crossbow and gets it in the back just before it escapes, and they all, they've taken care of it. And then, it's Buffy's all like, I should have had that last one. It got by me. And Jonathan's all like, no, it's okay, as long as you do your best. And as they're leaving, Buffy's like, no, I'm sorry. No, she doesn't say that yet. But as they're leaving the crypt, there's all these paparazzi outside, and they're all snapping fucking Jonathan's picture and, the rest of the Scooby gang. And then he's talking about shit hiding in the dark and whatnot, and he's all like, and, he goes, and people like Spike. And then Spike comes out of the shadows, and they're insulting each other back and forth. And then he's all like, well, someday, Spike, if you ever get back up to your old ways again, I'm going to fucking off you. And Spike's like, yeah, whatever. And, and at one point, Spike refers to Buffy as Betty. Like, he doesn't even know. And she's like, it's Buffy. And she's not even good at like insults anymore. And it's funny. Did you want to say something? I thought you wanted to say something earlier.
No.
Okay, good, because I wasn't going to stop anyway. So then we cut.
I'm just going to let you go because I want this to be over with.
Wow. Wow. So this was one of your favorite all-time episodes then?
Not as bad as actually I just made it sound.
We cut to by the way, we failed to mention this.
Mm-hmm.
In the opening scene and everything, Tara's been with them this whole time. She's been like a seemingly full-fledged member of the Scoobs.
Yeah.
Which is also kind of an odd. You're like, when did this start becoming? So then we cut to Tara's dorm room, and she and Willow are there scissoring, of course, but also talking. And and they're talking about, the whole thing that just happened, and they're talking about Jonathan and how cool he is and it's awesome and great at everything, and the whole time they're talking, you don't see what they're doing, but the camera finally pulls back and you see they're just creating this huge wall of like cut out pictures of Jonathan. And at that point is when I think if this is the first time you've seen this episode, I think it's at that point when you're like, what? Wait, okay. There's some magic shit happening going on right now, because what the fuck?
There is some fuckery afoot.
There is fuckery afoot, and it's for sure at this point. The Willow and Tara are also talking about Buffy and Riley, and like their whole kind of little bit of still there over the whole body switch and fuckery that went on there. So then we cut to Riley's dorm, and he is apparently all healed up and better now because he doesn't have a shirt on, and he's playing with this little Nerf basketball thing again. And Buffy's like, "You are such a man child," and he's like, "I know." No. So they're talking, and it's real. This whole thing is real awkward between them. Like, obviously, there's still some lingering issues there with the whole, like I said, the whole body switch and fucking faith inside of Buffy's body thing. And it's just like, why is this a thing? Like, why can't everyone just be like, it just, there's nothing can be done about it. Like, no one could have known. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Whatever. So
I'd also like to mention the picture of Jonathan playing basketball, the poster.
Yeah, on the poster. See a lot of that throughout the whole episode. Like, there's just random places where there's like Jonathan pictures.
Yep.
Like at one point we see we're kind of like downtown Sunnydale, and we see one of the billboards is actually like a Jonathan, almost like a Nike ad, but with Jonathan in it. And you're just like, what? So then we cut to Jonathan and Buffy are at they're at that espresso bar, that kind of outdoor espresso bar, and they're talking, and Jonathan's actually giving like good advice here to Buffy, about the deal with Riley. Like, hey, basically, if it's worth, if you think, basically, like, if you think it's worth it, it's worth the effort to, to work this out, and you guys just get past it because you're good for each other and blah, 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 blah. And at one point, this girl comes running up and she's like, "Oh my God, it's you. And she wants his autograph in his book that he apparently wrote. By the way, he was also the star of The Matrix in this.
He did. He starred in The Matrix.
In this.
And he invented the internet.
I was like, yeah. But I was like, why did they choose and I realized, oh yeah, this is from 2000. So the year before, The Matrix was like a huge deal. So.
Yep.
But yeah, this girl comes up and says her name's Karen, and so he signs the book for her, and she's all ecstatic, and she runs off and immediately gets hit by a car because she's not paying any attention. She's so happy, and the car just fucking murders her and just keeps going. And Jonathan's like, "Damn," and Buffy's like, "Meh, I'm a slayer, not a cop." So we just skip all.
We're just done with Karen now.
Yeah. Then we cut to the Initiative, and Riley and all the rest of the troops are kind of around a table at attention. And there's a new top dog in town, Colonel George Sanders. Colonel Sanders, that's right. Who informs them, Haviland, but close enough.
No, you made it Colonel Sanders.
I know.
It's really okay. You
You
got to go all in on the jokes, buddy. Okay.
I only like to dip a toe.
Oh, okay. Just the tip.
Just the tip. But no, he's informing them that he has been sent by Washington and he's now the commander-in-chief of the initiative until such time that I wish you would quit fucking with your camera. It's making me seasick.
It's really annoying me for some reason. I don't know what the fuck.
It's really annoying me too, as well as the viewers. Where was I at? Yeah, he's the new top pick.
This is why nobody comments on our shit. They stop. They
just quit watching.
They're like, fuck.
These two are fucking morons. They're never gonna grow up. Let's see. But yeah, he's the new top dick in town, blah, blah, blah. And he says, so our top priority is, going to be to catch and destroy Adam. And to do that, I've brought in the very best of the best. And who walks in? Jonathan. Who's literally like 2 feet shorter than everyone else on screen right now, which was hilarious.
It's funny you mention that because I was watching this episode with someone, and the scene that's coming up where Jonathan is basically giving Riley the same advice he gave Buffy. Yeah. I was like, I said to the person I was watching the episode with, I was like, if I'm 6'2" Riley, I'm not taking advice from someone who's a good 2 feet shorter than I am.
Oh, I think Riley's a good 6'5", to be honest.
No, he's 6'2". He's 6'2".
6'5". So we where did I leave off? Oh yeah. So Jonathan busts out this blueprint, which is incredibly accurate, of Jonathan. Of Adam. He busts out a blueprint of himself. And he's like, see here, that's my pee-pee. And then he rolls it up and he leaves. He just wants to show him his dick.
Right. But first Riley pulls out a magnifying glass and he's like, wait a minute, right there?
That is a clitoris. And
then Jonathan
cries.
Right. And he gets mad and storms away. And then there's a cut scene where he's ranting to himself about how he wasn't able to give himself a bigger penis, even in this fantasy world.
Yeah. And he ran away from him while he was crying. He runs off. And he's running for quite a long time. But then when the camera pulls back, he's only gotten 2 feet away because he's so much shorter than everyone else.
It's his stubby little legs.
He's a tiny little person.
And then he looks around and he realizes that he hasn't gotten very far, but then he starts singing, and I ran so far away.
Couldn't get away. So yeah, he's got this blueprint and he's breaking down Adam, which I guess they got all this information internally from, when they create from Maggie Walsh's floppy disks, I guess, where she left the drawings and the crayon drawings of her. She's got crayon drawings on elementary school paper, where the lines are this thick, they're an inch thick.
It's not even actual elementary school paper. It's colored construction paper.
It's underneath him she wrote Adam and a couple the D is backwards, so it looks like
the D's backwards on Adam.
It's Adam.
And it's just a stick figure, a crude stick figure drawing of Adam, but it's him
a little stick coming out of it, that one hand, because that's the
right. I was just gonna say,
arm.
it's him because she draws the stick from the Polgara demon arm on it, like.
Yeah.
And like there's just a jagged line across part of his face.
for like where the cybernetic shit is, yeah. And a little line up here because that's where his booby floppy drive is. And did you realize, had he survived this season, that next season he would have got an upgrade to a zip drive?
I know.
No more 1.44 megabytes, bitch. He would have had 100 megabytes in that. Or how big were they? I think they were 100.
I thought they were 128.
It's not the zip drives. They might have been even bigger, actually. I don't know. They were massively bigger. Anyway.
More importantly, though, he would have gotten an upgrade from dial-up to cable.
Ooh, that probably would have been like season 6 or so.
Maybe.
Well, it is California. Then 2000 probably would have been.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. He might have got an Ethernet port. We'll put it that way. And that would have been, of course, in his ass.
It's funny because without going into spoilers for like the end of the season, instead of going to all the trouble that they actually end up going to defeat Adam, they could have just waited a year and he would have been obsolete.
Why didn't they just put a virus on a floppy drive and someone run up and push it into his titty?
I mean, it's 2000, so he's got it. So he's running, at the very least, he's running on XP.
No, he would have been running on Windows ME, Millennium Edition. Because there was Windows 95, then there was Windows 98, then there was Windows ME, and I don't think XP came out until like 02-ish or so. I mean, you can look it up.
That's true. No, I think you're right. But even then he would be running on 98 at the most.
Or ME,
I don't think he would have been. I don't think he'd be on ME because I don't think he would have been built in time for ME.
Well, either way, you remember when WinNuke was the big virus going around in 2000? They could have just put that on a floppy drive and stuck it in his boobie. Game over for Adam.
Buffy could have just installed Napster and started downloading things,
and he seized by the federal government.
Or he undoubtedly would have crashed from a virus.
Yeah. She could have just downloaded she could have typed in like big booby porn and then downloaded that, executed the file and that would have been it for him.
Right. Or LimeWire.
Oh god, damn! I forgot about LimeWire and Morpheus. Do you remember Morpheus?
I didn't use Morpheus, but I remember Morpheus. Yeah, I was more of a LimeWire guy.
Yeah, I think everybody was, because it was Morpheus. I think was the first thing that kind of got big after Napster, and then it quickly went away, and LimeWire took over. And then I went and cashed my Social Security check because I'm fucking old.
And I used to play my downloaded MP3s that I downloaded from LimeWire on Winamp.
And they were so shit quality. They were like 128K kilobits per second, which is horrible quality music. But we knew no better then, because it was better than going out and paying for an album,
Yep.
So yeah, wow. I'm never gonna get through this scene. They're all poring over the blueprints, and Jonathan's basically breaking down Adam, his strengths and weaknesses, and he's like, listen, even if we chop his fucking head off, it's not gonna do us any good because he's powered by a uranium-235 power source, which can run for however long he said, 6 trillion years or something. He's like, so the only way to beat him, we have to annihilate him completely. He has to be basically fucking vaporized. He's like, and the one thing I've noticed about him is he never eats. And that's an important thing. And I'm like, is it? Because it's never mentioned again. And how can that be important that he doesn't eat? You don't eat, do you, Adam? I found your weakness. Okay. What's the weakness? I don't have to eat. I don't need to eat to sustain myself.
Hey, Jeremy.
Yeah.
Hey, Jeremy.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Winamp. It really whips the llama's ass.
Yeah. I still have Winamp. The
Do
newer.
you?
Yeah. And it still comes with that little sound clip attached to it.
Nice. I'm sorry.
Oh, you should be. Then we cut to outside Jonathan's mansion, and that Karen chick from the coffee shop is now like stalking Jonathan's house. It's raining outside, but she's standing outside with binoculars looking at his windows. But she doesn't see anything, and she's like, "Geez, are you never home?" And then all of a sudden, this fucking I'm sorry, but this is just a ridiculous looking monster. This monster shows up with like these Popeye arms. Like first of all, they're like way too long, but then like the forearms are like Popeye. And he's just like, blah, 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 and like literally that's what he's doing. And he's like flailing his big Popeye arms at her. And then at one point, and she's just a regular, human person. And at one point, I don't know if you noticed this, but she like flails her arms back at him and he goes flying, the monster.
Yeah.
And while he goes flying, she takes off running. And I'm like, fuck, you probably kick his ass. Just stay there. Beat him up. So she goes off running. And this thing's chasing her, through the rain and the muck. And but yeah, I would have just stayed after I'd saw, oh well fuck, I just threw his ass all the way across the fucking yard. I can probably win this.
Fuck this thing.
Fuck this Popeye looking bitch. But he's got
what I am.
Yeah, he had to stop and eat fucking
Spinach,
and it was just like, wow. And he had like, was it his forehead that he had this symbol on?
I think it was his forehead. Yeah.
Yeah, he had this symbol that you see on, and it's a circle with like a dick and two balls. That's
my god.
that's the symbol.
That is not the symbol.
No,
it's not. That was not the symbol.
Okay, my bad. That's just what I saw. I was watching a different version than you were.
Obviously.
So we cut back to the initiative, and what's going on there, Ames J?
Riley is getting advice from Jonathan about his relationship with Buffy, and Riley's pretty much telling him, the concerns that Buffy shared with him at the espresso pump, and he's reassuring Riley that he shouldn't be worried, and people don't always see what's right in front of them. And like I said, I told the person I was watching this episode with, I was like, if I was 6'2" Riley Finn, I would not be taking any kind of advice from someone who's a good 2 to 3 feet shorter than I am. Like
6'5".
Like fucking Jonathan looks like a goddamn munchkin from the Wizard of Oz next to Riley.
Do you think he's really that short, or were they purposely making him even shorter in this? I feel like they were doing things to make him look even shorter in this episode.
I think he's really that short.
Oh, okay.
I would have to look it up, but I think he's really that short.
Well, I don't think there's like short.com and you type in someone's name and they'd be like, yep.
He's an actor. I'm sure I could find his height somewhere on the internet. He tells Riley not to worry. At which point he puts on a fucking blindfold and picks up a gun and shoots apples off of 3 initiative commandos' heads.
See, the version I was watching, he shot each one of them right between the fucking eyes and killed them.
Wow.
And
You got you got the Amazon Prime like boys version.
No, I've got the DVD set because I'm not a fucking loser.
Oh, wow. Wow. I'm sorry. I've decided to move into the digital age. All right.
Wow. Okay, millennial.
And I am a millennial,
I know.
and you're still living in a physical world.
You're supposed to say, okay, boomer.
You're not a boomer though.
I know, but they say it anyway to people who aren't boomers, and it's so annoying.
You're what? You're Gen X, right?
Yeah. You were Gen X too until about
3 years ago when they redid everything.
Redid it's stupid. It's like, no, you don't just redecide. You don't just like be like, oh no, now you're part of a different generation. No, it doesn't work that way. But anyway.
So then we cut to the Bronze, where Jonathan takes the stage and he starts crooning a song, and Buffy and Riley are out on the dance floor, and Jonathan finishes the song and starts to play the trumpet, and this is apparently very, very sexy to both Anya and Xander, because they almost immediately leave to go fornicate.
Fornication does take place.
Buffy tells Riley that she forgives him and wants to move on with things in their relationship. And at that point, a very terrified Karen runs into the Bronze to find Jonathan, and he comforts her and takes her back to his mansion. And Buffy and Riley accompany him. And at the mansion, Karen tells them about the monster and draws a picture of the symbol on its forehead, which was not a circle with a cock and balls in it. It was, in fact, a triangle, some sort of triangular symbol.
It looked like a dick and balls to me. That's all I'm saying.
I think maybe you have cock and balls on the brain.
What's wrong with that? By the way, Danny Strong, Jonathan Levinson. He is 5'2".
So he's short.
That's my mom's height. Yeah.
Yeah, he's short.
5'2" when I was 10.
How tall are you now?
5'10".
Are you? I'm only 5'7", so.
By the way, by looking up Danny Strong, I found out some interesting information. He's a multi-time Emmy winner.
Yeah, he's wrote a lot of television.
Well, he wrote the last 2 Hunger Games movies. He co-created Empire on Fox, and wrote and directed Dope Sick on Hulu.
Yeah.
I was like, damn, I just figured he was one of those Buffy actors that never had a career after Buffy ended. He's got there's a picture of him where he's holding 3 Emmy awards. Like, damn.
Yeah, he's quite the prolific writer now.
I had no idea. Of course, you got to write well. You're only 5'2". Just kidding.
Triangular symbol, his forehead. No. Jonathan clearly recognizes the symbol, but he's kind of downplays how important it is, and he says that this thing's not harmful and basically just a rabid animal, and says he'll take care of it himself. And he leaves to take Karen home, and Buffy looks puzzled at his evasiveness. And then we cut to Adam, who's
I can't question him. I'm just a woman. And Willow's like, that's right. Remember that always, Buffy.
Except Willow wasn't there.
No, but on my episode she was. On my version.
Oh, I forgot you have the DVDs. Like,
right.
Boomer you are.
I'm a boomer.
Even though boomers have had trouble with DVDs.
Basically, the people who say that shit, that drives me insane. Anyone who's like over the age of 21, they think is a boomer.
Yeah. We cut to Adam, who's sitting in front of several monitors in his lair, and he sees Jonathan on the screens, and he pretty much, we basically find out that he's immune to whatever spell Jonathan cast, and he's all like, I'm more awake and alive than any human or demon has ever been. And
really quick timeout.
Sure.
Do you we've had, I don't know, 3 or 4 episodes now where Adam has spoken at length. Do you ever find it, what is the word I'm looking for, exasperating?
Yeah, every time he talks.
Yes, like every time he talks, it's like it was written by this person who thinks they're a great writer and this is great prose, but it's really just meaningless, villain of the week mishmash dumbassity. And it,
Right.
like, you know what I mean? It's not, there's no substance to his character or the things he says. It's, what's your motivation?
Yeah.
Okay. I just didn't know if I was being.
No, I agree. It's just like you said, it's empty prose. There's nothing, it's all just, it's existentialism without anything actually existential behind it.
Yeah. And his little vampire crony is all like, well, what will you do about it, Adam? And he's like, I will do nothing. Because because these magics will eventually erode, and then
Cause
chaos will ensue, and I wish to see chaos. And I'm like,
yeah.
oh my God, that's so fucking, it's just like every villain, like, I want to see chaos in the world. It's like, okay, Adam.
How will you save Tess Trueheart now, Dudley Do Right?
I want to see chaos everywhere I look. And it's just like, okay, Adam, I'm going to put a fucking paper clip in your booby floppy drive and fuck you up.
Yeah, and then we cut to Jonathan's mansion, and he's down in like his library or whatever, and we see these 2 half-dressed women, twins, appear on the balcony above him, and they're like, come back to bed.
And why?
Why was that even
there? Are they implying that these 2 twin sisters like take part in incest to be with Jonathan?
I don't know.
This is such a Joss thing.
It's completely uncalled for,
like, unnecessary, and just stupid. Like, we already get it. Okay, Jonathan's supposed to be this super cool, everyone loves him, he does everything great. Did that need to, I don't know.
No, yeah. He disrobes, and we see on his shoulder that he has the same triangular symbol that the monster has on its forehead. And then we cut to Sunnydale University, and what's happening there, Jeremy?
Well, they're still looking at the drawing of the Dick and Ball symbol, and they're all like, that's a Dick and Balls, right? I mean, am I right, Xander? And Xander's like, listen, if anyone knows what a crudely drawn Dick and Balls looks like, it's me, and that is a Dick and Balls. Everybody's like, okay, well, there we have it. No. So Buffy, Willow, and Tara, they're walking around on campus, and Buffy's just setting random people on fire.
What?
No, she says, she's all like, Jonathan seemed scared when he saw that symbol, and she's starting to put these things together in her head, and but nobody's like with her. Willow's like, oh no, you can't be Jonathan. He's not scared of anything, and blah blah blah, and and they're like, don't you remember how brave he was? Remember that's why you gave him the award at our senior prom for the class protector? And it's like, Jesus Christ, he's changed everything in his own favor. Like, he didn't leave anybody anything.
No,
like anything
well,
good anyone's ever done, he took for himself.
At one point later in the episode, Xander talks about how Jonathan smashed the
master's bones, killed the mayor worm.
Yeah, blew up the mayor snake. Yeah, like what?
So, then at some point, Tara's like, okay, here's my stop. And it's her dorm hall. And so there's this awkward moment between her and Willow where they like want to looks like they want to kiss, but I don't think, obviously Willow's not come to the point to realize yet that she is in fact a lesbian and is in love with Tara. Plus they don't want to do it in front of Buffy because she definitely doesn't know. So they just awkwardly part and Tara goes on about her way. And when she gets inside of her dorm, she immediately gets attacked by this stupid. It's just so unscary. I mean, it's ugly, yeah, but it's just not scary. It's not really big, and
it looks like they took the werewolf makeup almost and like modified it a little bit.
Like took all the hair off of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just so goofy. I don't know, but it attacks her and it's just pummeling her with its fucking Popeye arms. And at one point she says this incantation and shoots cigarette smoke at it from her wrists or her palms. I don't know what that was supposed to be, but it apparently works because it's all like, oh, I'm allergic to cigarette smoke. Oh, and she's like, that'll learn you. And she runs away while it's stuck in smoke. And
the funny part is she does say that'll learn you, like an old timey mobster. She's like, that'll learn you, see?
You're never gonna catch me, copper. And she runs away, and yeah, she has a little sack with money symbol on it that she's taken from it. Yeah. So the next morning, Buffy comes into her dorm, and Willow meets her, and she looks over, and Tara's on laying on. It looks like Buffy's bed instead of Willow's bed. It looks like she's laying on Buffy's bed, and she's got like some marks and some stuff. Like she's not like horrifically beaten or anything. She's got like a bruise or two and a couple of little like scrapes on her, but she's like like she's literally laying like in a fetal position, like I don't know, like tweaking out, like having a seizure or something. And Buffy's like, oh my God. And Willow's like, oh, she'll be okay. But she was attacked by the same thing that attacked Karen, and she confused it with a spell and hid in the supply closet. And then they found her there this morning, and blah blah blah. So then does she draw it? Yeah, I think she draws it and shows her the symbol, and she's like, was it that symbol? And mid seizure, Tara's like, yeah. And so I just found that whole thing so goofy. Wow. Like if she had been like horrifically fucked up, that would have been an appropriate way to act it out. But she like got bonked on the head and like a couple of scratches, and she's like, meh. like she has permanent brain damage or something.
Who are you to judge other people's trauma responses?
Oh God. All right. You definitely are a millennial. So, or where did wait a minute. I just lost my place. Okay. There we go. Buffy. I love this. I fucking love this scene. We see a knock at the door, and Anya answers, and Buffy's there. It's Xander's place, his his pimp basement, and oh, Anya's just so fucking awkward as a human being. She's just like, oh yeah, Xander's not here. Why are you still here? You should leave now because Xander's not here. And Buffy's like, I just wanted to come in and see some of Xander's things. And she's like, yeah, okay, and lets her in. And she's just so fucking awkward. I love Anya. And you know, Xander's got like all these like comic books based on Jonathan and collector's cards and posters and pictures and magazines. He's just got all this shit. And so, you know, this takes Buffy to another level where she's like, how can one person be so perfect, you know? And so she sits down and she starts talking to Anya, and Anya's like, oh, you're still here. Buffy's like, yes. And she's like, oh, okay, that's nice. And so Buffy's like, listen, you used to be a demon, a vengeance demon, right? And yeah. And she's like, so would it have been possible for some, you know, to change reality basically? And Anya's like, well, yeah, you know, alternate, you know, realities exist all the time, you know? Yeah, it's totally doable. And she goes into this spiel about how, you know, like, for instance, if you hated shrimp, you could create a world where there's no shrimp. And Buffy's like, what? Like, what? Like, you have a thing against prawns? What's going on here? Or she's like, she goes, or if you like shrimp, you could create an entire world where there's nothing but shrimp.
Yeah.
And Buffy's just like, did I drop acid before I got here? What is happening?
So here's something that annoyed me about this scene, and I mentioned it to the person I watched the episode with. Not once is Anya like, or how about the time I created an alternate reality where you never came to Sunnydale because Cordelia wished you had never come to Sunnydale?
Yeah. There's also that.
Like all these other throwaway references they make to past episodes, and like they could, like, come on.
I'm with you. I hadn't even thought about it, but now that I'm with you. So Buffy calls a meeting, which in this reality it doesn't happen, but she calls a meeting of the Scoobies at Giles' place, and everybody's all like, "Where's Jonathan?" And because he's the one that always like calls the meeting and leads the meetings and all that stuff, and she's like, I called the meeting. So she's like, I want to talk about Jonathan, and she's laying out all of her suspicions and whatnot, and she's like, and she goes, and in one of the points she goes, and anyway, how did he star in the Matrix without ever leaving Sunnydale? and how did he graduate from medical school and he's only 18? And she's like, it's almost like he's too perfect. But of course, like no one there, they're all like, this is great. Like, what do you mean? How could you say this? Like, Jonathan's just so great. Like, you know, they're all just fully like part of this spell. They don't agree at all. And then Riley speaks up and says, you know, he thinks it all sounds like nonsense. He goes, but having gotten to know this girl, and I've learned to trust her. And I'm like, oh, fuck off, Riley. Fuck right off. So he's like, let's follow her lead. So they decide to follow her lead, but there's still nobody buying in except maybe Riley at this point. Oh, dude. And here comes one of my absolute favorite lines of the whole season. Just, I love Ash so much. But Buffy's like, Giles, do you have a copy of Jonathan's swimsuit calendar? And Giles is like, no. And then she looks at him and he's like, yes, but it was a gift. So she busts up. He gets his copy of Jonathan's swimsuit calendar, and she flips through it. She's like, there, see, on his back, on his shoulder, that's the same mark that's on the monster. And so they're still talking, and Jonathan's there. He's been at the doorway. And he's all like, Buffy's right. And they're like, and he's like, that there is a monster. But every time I fight it, I become weak and confused. And I can't seem to defeat it. So I put its mark on my back so that if I faced it again, I wouldn't underestimate it and I would remember it. And blah, blah. And it was like, this is such a shitty explanation. Like, what? What? Like, first of all, if that's true, why would you put the mark on your back where you can't see it? Like, right? What? But that's his explanation. Everybody's like, that makes 100% fucking perfect fucking sense.
I can't believe we didn't think of that, Jonathan. Sorry.
Right? We dropped the whole thing. We had never even thought of that. Anyway, so Buffy's like, well, why don't you and I go after this monster and we'll do it together and we'll get rid of it once and for all. And Jonathan's like, well, it's probably left town, but we'll go try to find it. So they go into the cemetery, and I'm like, why is it always a cemetery? Like, no matter what it is, why do they always go there first? Like, what would this monster have to do with being in the cemetery? Like, only vampires. Anyway, so they go to the cemetery, and they run into Spike. And Jonathan kind of is trying to get some information out of Spike, but he ain't giving it up. And Jonathan's like, well, we're not going to get anything out of him. Well, then all of a sudden Buffy becomes like the old Buffy, and fucking she rams Spike into the wall, and she's like, you drink, blood from the butcher now. Well, I can make that fucking end, and you're going to be pretty fucking thirsty. And so Spike gives up some information that some vampires that he knew of had been kicked out of a cave by something really big, which I'm like, no, it's not. It's not big at all. It's like 5'5" with fucking Popeye arms. I'm like, this girl knocked it like 3 feet away. A nest of vampires could have kicked the shit out of it. But anyway. So we cut back to Giles, and Willow finds the mark that both Jonathan and this monster have in a book. And she's like, Jonathan did an augmentation spell to make himself a paragon of all that's ideal and great. So that they all start putting it together now, and they're all like, oh shit, like what's reality like? Like, what's reality going to be like if the spell gets broke, and at one point fucking Xander's fucking around with the book, and because Riley's like, this is like kind of like his introduction to magic sort of, and he's like, really? Does that stuff, it's real? It actually works? And they're all like, oh yeah. And Xander's flipping through a book, and he's like, yeah, you just say these words. And he says a few words, and the book catches on fire, and he slams it shut. And Giles goes, Xander, don't speak Latin in the books. And so they're like, well, what's going to happen if if they find the monster and kill it and the spell breaks? Like, what's going to happen to all of us? Is the world going to like just go crazy? Like, just, is it going to be weird? And Giles is like, well, no, technically nothing should change except for Jonathan and whoever. He should go back to whoever, that he was, however he was. And then Anya, of course, being the always optimistic one, says, well, Jonathan's not going to want Buffy to get very far in this quest, is he? And then they're all like, oh, fuck. And they went alone. So they get to this cave, and there's this huge pit that's like 77 miles deep. And they're all like, oh shit, we better avoid that. And fall in there, it's game over. And Jonathan's like, yeah, we wouldn't want that to happen, would we? And I was like, oh, he's going to murder Buffy. Buddy reaches over and takes her hand and says, come on. So
Like literally, we were all like, "Oh my god, he's gonna try and murder Buffy."
Yeah, but he
doesn't.
just grabs her hand and says, "Come on, let's go find the monster." So then we cut back to Giles, and they're still talking about, what the fuck's gonna happen, and and yada yada yada. Riley's like, "Well, if Buffy can't kill the monster, then we're all stuck in this fucked up alternate reality forever." And I'm like, not really, guys, because now you all know the truth. You're really not in the reality anymore. I mean, not really. Like, you're going to see the truth. I don't know. Whatever. Back at the cave.
But that doesn't end the spell. Like, just because they know.
The spell and the other people in the world are still going to see him for this great. But I mean, but technically, the only thing that's making them part of this reality is being part of the mindless. Well, they would know now. So otherwise, the world would be exactly the same to them. They'd be like, "Oh yeah, he's fucking full of shit. He's using a spell." Anyway, back at the cave, they bada bing, they run into the monster. No big deal. They have a fight. Jonathan gets fucking bitch smacked across the fucking place immediately. And Buffy's fighting it, and she's like, "Oh shit, I remember like actually being good at fighting," and so she's kicking its ass, but it kind of gets the little bit of an upper hand on her at one point, knocks her down, and Jonathan runs up and gets it from behind, and he's like, "You're gonna have to take this one solo, because the more damage you do to it, basically the weaker I get and the more of a pussy I become." So he just lets go of it and runs away. And they continue fighting, and then they're over right by the edge of the pit at one point, and it almost knocks her in there. But Jonathan comes running from behind and tackles it, and they both fly into the pit, and Jonathan dies with the monster. And that's our episode. No. He almost does, but at the last second, Buffy grabs him by the ankle and pulls him back up. And the monster has been vanquished, and we cut to this little scene of the town where you see like this blue line go across the whole city, and which is the signal that the spell has broken. And the next day, the Scoobs are all kind of chilling under a tree there on campus, and Xander, he's all fucking emo about it. He's like, "I like Jonathan. I'm gonna miss him." I'm like, he's still in the world if you like him that much, you fucking weirdo. Jesus. So, you see Jonathan off in the distance, and Buffy catches his eye, so she goes over there to him, and he's basically like, "I'm sorry, I'm blah 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 blah," and Buffy's like, "Blah blah 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 blah," and he's like, "Blah blah 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 blah," and she's like, "Blah blah 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 blah," and then he's all like, "Well, what I said about the advice I gave you about Riley," he's like, "I really think that was the right advice," and she's like, "Yeah, it was," and then they, I don't know, high five each other, and then we cut to a scene where Buffy and Riley are on his bed, and they've decided to put the bullshit behind them and continue on, and they're kissing real passionately, and then at one point she moans and says, "Jonathan," and credits episode. Credits and episode.
Jeremy.
Yes, sir.
Would you like to tell me what our body count for this episode is?
Fuck. 4.
9.
Oh, not even close. Fuck. When I watch these episodes, why don't I just mark it down, and then I can always win this game?
I honestly don't know why you don't. I think it's because you don't really care.
No, I really don't. No, I like to play the game. I like to see if oh shit, okay, because sometimes I'm right, but sometimes
you are, yeah.
Close.
Yeah. Our music this week, Royal Crown Review with Trapped in the Web of Love.
I recognized them immediately because I loved Royal Crown Review back in those days. I still like them.
Oh, yeah?
But I mean, I was really into them. Like you've heard, Zip Gun Bop.
Yeah,
Better
yeah.
trip for your bullets. Yeah, I love Royal Crown Review. Sorry, just wanted to bring that up.
No. I mean, I don't. I've heard that song, but I will say, and I mean, it's in the same vein. But like, I was a Big Bad Voodoo Daddies fan.
Yeah, and like Cherry
You know,
Poppin' Daddies and all those of
yeah,
all those swing bands that got hot at that period of time, Royal Crown
right.
Review was like my favorite.
Yeah, they were part of like you said, Cherry Poppin' Daddies, Big Bad Voodoo, the Zoot Suit resurgence, of big swing music.
Yeah.
Um,
It was hot there
Brad,
for a year or two, man. Like if you
yeah,
remember, it
yeah,
got really big, and I always liked Royal Crown Review because number one, I thought they were the best, but number two, they had been doing that music for like 20 years up to that point, and then
right.
they finally got some recognition when it got real big there for a while, And but sorry, I
Yeah.
didn't mean to.
Brad Kane and
It's
Roy.
like the only time I've talked about the music on the episode,
It is. It really is.
Because every time I find the music on, even though I'm a music fucking guru, every time it's like most of the music on this show, I'm like, man,
Brad Kane and Royal Crown Review with Serenade in Blue, Royal Crown Review with Hey Sonny, Where'd You Go? And of course, as always, Christoph Beck with our original score. Jeremy,
yes,
can
sir.
you please tell me, on a scale of 1 to 5, how many Popeye arm demons do you give this episode? And give me your final thoughts.
I wrote on because I always write down my rating on my notes here. But there's sometimes that changes. I wrote a 3 on my notes here, but if I'm gonna be perfectly, it's a 2. It's a 2. Like when I first watched it through, I was like, oh, that was an okay, fun episode. I'll give it a 3. But going back through it just now, I'm like, yeah, that's probably more like a 2. It was just a little too cheesy and silly. Like I'm trying to think. There's a phrase that I'm trying to think. It's almost a cliche Buffy type episode. You know what I mean? Like, oh, this guy has used this magic to change the reality. I'm just kind of like, we've kind of already been there, done that with the Cordelia episode.
Right.
Like, yes, it was a different type of thing, but I mean, still the same basic overall premise. It's like been there, done that. Do we really need this episode? And then it's like, Jonathan, really, this little minor character from basically we've seen him like 5 times in 4 seasons, maybe 6 times in 4 seasons. You know what I mean? It's like
Right.
him, like he's the one you're going to choose to do this with, and I don't know. It's not a horrible episode. It's not god awful, horribly written. This is but it's just kind of what it is. It's just kind of It's not. Wouldn't even quite call it average, because I'd say a 2.5 is average on our scale. Yeah. So it's a little below average just because it's kind of silly and boring. And like I said, it had been there, done that already. So yeah, definitely not on a list of must watch, must see episodes. Although we will see Jonathan back in I believe that is season 6, I believe, when he becomes a very large part of the show for a brief time. Or is it season 5? In fact, I can't remember. But anyway, he will be back. But this episode, yeah, it's a 2. It's a 2, and that's all I've got to say.
It's season 6 because season 5 is.
Oh, season 5 is
Glory.
Glory, yes. Glory, hallelujah. James, tell
Yes, sir.
myself and our fine listening audience, on a scale of 1 to 5, how many canoodlings do you give this episode? And give us your final thoughts.
I give this episode 2 canoodlings.
2 canoodlings.
As well. It's not a bad episode. It's funny in parts. It tells us how we're gonna end up defeating Adam at the end of the day. It reveals his big weakness, so it at least did drive the overall story forward in that regard. But it's just
I did forget to mention that.
I think we did need a lighter episode after how heavy Who Are You was.
I agree, we did. I just don't think this really nailed it.
This should have been, and this goes back into something we said earlier this season. This should have been an Ethan Rain episode.
Ethan Rain should have been a much bigger part of this show for a much longer time than he was. So, he was an established pain in the ass already. Like, why Jonathan Levinson? Why is he the?
Yep. I think this would have been a much better episode if it had been an Ethan Rain episode.
Yep. Yeah. I don't want to interrupt but yeah, you're right.
No, please feel free. I think it would have been a much better episode if it were an Ethan Rain episode. And, that goes back to what we said, unfortunately, the last time we saw him, which ends up being the last time we do see him, is that he should have been the go-to character that you bring in for these kind of oops, something's amiss funny episodes. Like if it's a funny episode where the funniness stems from somebody doing something quote unquote bad but not necessarily harmful,
not necessarily evil,
that should be an Ethan Rain episode.
Yeah, and where his magics are not quite the best, but they definitely fuck some shit up for a while. Yeah, agreed.
Right. I just think this would have worked much better with Ethan.
Because look how good the episode was.
Jonathan.
I mean, look how good the episode was where he turned Giles into the demon. It was great.
Right. And I don't think, like I said, it's a 2, but it's not necessarily a 2 because this is a bad episode. I don't think it's a bad episode. It's just not. It needed something. It needed not Jonathan, honestly.
Yeah. It needed not Jonathan. It also needed, in my opinion, to not be this alternate. Been there, done that already. Like I said with the Cordelia episode, basically the same exact thing. It's like we're just rehashing and we're putting Jonathan in. Like he's never been an established character. He was just this little side kind of every now and then.
Unfortunately, I do think we are getting to a point in Buffy where unfortunately you are going to see things getting rehashed.
We do.
It's the way television works, unfortunately. Because even if this hadn't been a alternate reality episode, it still would have had to have been a mess with everybody's memories episode, which I don't think we've seen that yet in Buffy, but we definitely will see that coming up in Buffy.
Oh yes. I just think the ones coming up are just a little better pulled off.
I feel like the big issue with this episode was the fact that it was Jonathan. I just don't think he's important enough that it mattered.
He's not even the main thorn in the side when I said, he comes back later for a part. He's not even the main thing there. He's just not. It's just not. He's just not the one. They had, like you said, they had the established character and actor with Ethan Raines. And for whatever reason, maybe there's some shit we don't know about. Maybe he couldn't get a visa to come back to the States to work, or who the fuck, I don't know. But for whatever reason, they're like, he's really good and that's a good character, but let's go with Jonathan.
Yeah. Let's just use Jonathan instead.
You know, I'm like, really? So
yeah, I don't know. But to me, that's ultimately what it comes down to. That's why it's a 2. It's not a bad episode. It really isn't.
Yeah.
I just don't feel like it works the way it should. And I think that boils down to the whole thing being Jonathan.
Yeah, like in terms of baseball, it's a hit, it's a solid hit, but unfortunately, just before it hits the ground for a safe base hit, guy makes a great play. Center fielder makes a great play and catches the ball, and it's an out. It's just not quite there.
Right. So yeah, that's what I have to say about it.
All right. Well then, Ames J, why don't you? Well, we're now at the 2-hour mark. Why don't you briefly tell our folks how to get with us and where to go and what to do?
BuffyRevisited.com. You're going to find our email address, BuffyRevisited@gmail.com. Email us. You're going to find a link to our Facebook. You can comment on any of our posts there. A link to our YouTube, where you can go and get this. If you go to YouTube, you will see the video version of this very podcast that you're listening to right now. That's right. And video versions of all of the episodes, spanning back to early season 1, where you will also be able to leave comments. Those comments that you leave on any of those forums, YouTube, Facebook, or our mail, can range from anything to Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Angel, either series overall in general, episode specific, about the podcast, about me, about Jeremy, about your personal trials and troubles and tribulations, and of course, tribbles, and recipes.
And stay tuned, folks, because there might be some information in the next podcast or 2 or 3 where we may have a new place for the listeners to go and bullshit with each other, or throw your comments out there. And if that becomes a cool thing, that's easy for us to pluck from, and pull shit into the podcast. So stay tuned. We might have information on that.
Yeah, and a lot of that's going to depend, like I said at the beginning of this, you guys reach out to us and let us know what's gonna get you guys to engage again. And yeah, that's it. Sorry. I lost my train of thought.
Okay.
It's basically what's going to make you guys want to engage again and leave your comments and everything.
He's basically trying to reach out and touch someone.
Right. And we will do our best to make that happen. But yeah, that's it. That's all.
All right. Well, next week we're going to be jumping into Angel season 1, episode 17, Eternity.
We will. Yes.
Clearly about vampires. I'm sorry, werewolves.
Obviously. Obviously about werewolves.
Obviously it's about vampires because it's a vampire show.
Dumbass.
Anyway, do you have any closing thoughts, James?
Nope.
Neither do I. So with that being said, I've been one of your hosts. I'm Jeremy.
I'm your other host, James.
Ta-ta.